Welcome back. New this morning, China's largest oil companies are selling large cargoes of foreign crude oil on the global market as refinery activity slows to the lowest level since 2022, and run rates have fallen below 70% of capacity. The move points to weakening demand as state-owned refineries look to offset the impact of the Iran conflict and a spike in global prices. It also follows the U.S. seizure of a sanctioned Iranian oil tanker, which was headed to China earlier this week in the Strait of Hormuz. The Wall Street Journal this morning writes this: Iran, China, and an array of middlemen have evaded U.S. sanctions for years by shipping oil on aging tankers with opaque records and transferring cargoes between ships at sea, all to avoid scrutiny and legal liability. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, great to see you. And, of course, these Chinese companies have evaded sanctions as well as getting an opportunity to buy oil below market prices because they were buying 90% of Iranian oil. Your thoughts?
This is a really important development because the U.S. for years has known about the way China's been buying sanctioned oil and did nothing about it. So really what President Trump has said, look, we know what they're doing. We're going to enforce our own rules. And this is just elemental. This is great policy on the part of the president. And the American people should be applauding the enforcement of international norms and U.S. rules. You know, you have a lot of people say, oh, you know, the U.S. is a rule breaker. No, the U.S. is enforcing rules.
That's exactly right, Gordon. And also new this morning is Beijing claims that it's considering deploying underwater mine-laying drones to enforce a blockade on Taiwan. I guess they're picking up where Iran left off as we all wonder when and if China is going to go into Taiwan. Apparently, it's reportedly planning to use torpedo-shaped drones designed for offensive mine-laying operations, which have an estimated range of over 1,100 miles, Gordon.
Yes, well, this is Chinese information warfare, essentially. They know, for instance, at this time that they can't do a number of major operations because Xi Jinping has decimated the Chinese military. So what they're doing is they're putting out this information and they just hope to intimidate us. This is Xi Jinping's style. I'm sure that President Trump is not going to be intimidated by this, but the international community does need to have a public conversation about keeping international waterways open. Taiwan Strait is international waterway. Strait of Hormuz is international, and so is the Strait of Malacca. And now we're having Indonesia start to say in public that they might start imposing tolls over that. So this is really, you know, the Iranians started something. The United States needs to make sure that these international waterways remain open. If we've had any consistent foreign policy for 250 years, it's a defense of the global commons.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, the China situation today is much different after President Trump did what he did in Venezuela, in Iran, his comments on Cuba. He goes to that meeting next month with a much stronger hand. And so I wonder if the Chinese economy is strong enough to actually handle these mine-laying situations that Beijing is talking about, and even the opportunity for Beijing to go into Taiwan right now. Do you think anything's changed as a result of what has occurred to China in the last couple of months because of President Trump's efforts here?
Yeah, the Chinese economy has obviously deteriorated. It did not grow at the 5.0% pace that they reported for Q1 because we see all these underlying indicators. And even more important, we see how the Chinese government is acting and what it's doing. And its actions are not those of a country growing at 5.0. You know, right now, when you look at the oil sales, that is really stunning. You know, a lot of people were looking at refinery run rates in China and saying, well, that's because they don't have the crude oil. No, it's because there's no demand. If there were demand, China would not be selling cargoes for loading in May. That is just so elemental. And it says the Chinese economy is failing right now.
And yet, I mean, China keeps bullying allies across the world, by the way. A new report from the Financial Times says that China demanded European shipping companies Maersk and MSC to stop operations at Balboa and Cristobal ports along the Panama Canal. Beijing reportedly told those two shipping giants not to engage in, quote-unquote, illegal activities that harm the interests of Chinese companies and to uphold commercial ethics and international rules, Gordon.
Yes. And the powerful National Development and Reform Commission of China told Maersk and MSC last month not to operate those two ports in the Panama Canal zone. And guess what, Maria? Those two companies are defying China. But when you think about it, if China got what it wanted and those two companies left the canal zone, what would happen? Well, U.S. port operators would take over Cristobal and Balboa, those two ports. So, China's throwing a fit, and the ultimate result of it would be American increased influence in the canal zone. So this is just really bad policy on the part of Beijing. They're throwing fits, and they're not really they're not thinking strategically.
No, certainly exposing where they are vulnerable and trying to exert power. Gordon, always a pleasure. Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, Gordon Chang joining us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.